Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thank you for watching the Rams versus Saints playoff NFC Championship game preview. Thanks to all of the Rams fans and everyone who has subscribed recently and joining the Rams Talk community. For all the legacy subscribers, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all of your comments and checking out all my stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. This is fun times. All the Saints fans out there, actually, because, remember the Rams played the Saints earlier in the year, and a lot of Saints fans came and commented on both of my videos, the preview and the recap. And for the most part, Saints fans were pretty cool, and it was just constructive smack talk. So I'm always down for that. And if you want to find me on Twitter, you can at Real LA Rams Talk. And I just ask Saints fans, you come on here, just be cool, be chill, and I promise it'll be fun for everyone. So this is crazy. This is the Rams' first NFC Championship game since 2001 when they went to the Super Bowl and played the Patriots. But just to give you a taste of how long ago 2001 is, I mean, who can forget 9/11? That seems forever ago. The number one song was by Lifehouse, Waiting on a Moment or Waiting by a Moment. Yeah, crazy. That's forever ago. And also the number one box office movie was the second Harry Potter movie, The Sorcerer's Stone. So a lot has changed. It's been a long time for the Rams. And the Rams and Saints have played each other a lot. They used to be in the same division. And the all-time record is held by the Rams 41-33. However, the Rams did lose earlier this season to the Saints in what was a really exciting game. And ultimately, I'm speaking on behalf of Rams fans and coming from a Rams perspective. When I say that, I really feel like the Rams took that loss personally. I think they were really pissed off. It was their first loss of the season, but I don't think they were pissed because they lost their first game. I just feel like there was just a lot of emotion in that game, and I think they took it personally. And even dating back to that game and after that, right after that game, a lot of Rams players kind of intimated at like, hey, we will see the Saints again. And this game, we are going to hold it right up here, and we're going to get some payback. And I really feel like there's a chip on their shoulder for this game. Not like the Dallas game, not like some other games. I really feel like this is a game that they had circled, like if it was to be played, that they were looking for. And I had thought that the Saints had this undefeated record at home, but out of their 3 losses, they lost 2 games at home. The first game of the season against Tampa Bay and the last game of the season against Carolina. I mean, I think they were resting some of their guys in that final game. But this whole, like, the Dome is, no one's ever won there is, people have won there. Let's be real. However, if you want to look at, before I get into this, let me also mention I'm going to be doing a live stream with my buddy LT at Combat Sports Talk Los Angeles on his channel an hour before the game. So around 11 o'clock Pacific time on Sunday. So be sure to go over there, check him out, subscribe, and check out the live stream. We'll be doing some Q&A and stuff. That will be fun. I'll be calling in. But getting back to it, the Saints are 7-0 all time at home under Sean Payton. I mean, there's something to be said for that. The New Orleans Saints fans really bring it. It is a hostile environment. And Drew Brees has 114 passer rating at home in 6 playoff games at home. So Brees is really good. Peyton's really good. The fans bring it, and it's a hostile environment. However, I do think that there is a lot to be said for being there and experiencing that. So the Rams were there in the preseason. The Rams were there in November, and the Rams are going back. So it's not like they're sitting in this locker room at a place they've never been at, and they, what do you anticipate? You're thinking about the newness and not so much the task at hand. And now I feel like they're just ready to go in there, and they know what to expect from an atmosphere perspective, which is good. I hope that motivates them and helps them concentrate on what they have to do. A lot of keys to this game, a lot of interesting matchups. I feel like these teams are 2 different teams now than played in November. from a personnel standpoint and just kind of like how they've trended. But also another playoff stat, Michael Thomas, he's averaged 129 yards and a TD in 3 playoff games. And in the last game they played, he had 15 targets. And I feel like most of those were on third downs. And Drew Brees really locks onto him on third down. But going back to that matchup in the difference in personnel. So when we played them last time, we didn't have Aqib Talib. We had Cooper Kupp. We didn't have C.J. Anderson. And it was Dante Fowler's first game. And he played 66% of the snaps, so he got some good run. He had a tackle. He had a pass defended. So now he's fully integrated into the offense. So the Rams are different on all those 3 accounts. And I think the Cooper Kupp thing and the Talib thing are the biggest factors, really. And then on the other side of the ball, the Saints back then were without their rookie edge rusher or defensive end, Marcus Davenport. And he's since come back. But I don't think he was really like picking up steam and momentum going in right before he was injured against the Rams. It was kind of like a key thing that he was out. But the biggest loss for them is Sheldon Rankins, their star defensive tackle. I mean, the guy eats up blocks. He's super athletic. He's part of the reason why the Saints have been so good against the run. The Saints this year were 2 in yards per game and just like 0.2 yards behind the Bears at giving up only 80 yards per game on the ground. And a lot of that starts up at front with Rankins. And then they've out of all of the linebackers left in the playoffs, of all the four teams, they probably have the best one in Demario Davis. And he really excels at stopping the run. And now with Rankins out, it's a lot on his shoulders, and I feel like the Rams definitely have an advantage there. So that is a huge X factor, but they also didn't have Ted Ginn Jr. In the last matchup. So he's back now. He caught 3 balls last week against Philly, and you can't sleep on Ted Ginn. He's fast, and so the teams are different. Going back to the Saints defense and the run defense, they allowed only 3 teams to rush for over 100 yards, like combined, like total team rushing. And they have not allowed or let any running back in football this year run for more than 75 yards. In the game that they played in November, Todd Gurley had 68 yards on 13 carries. He had like a 5 yards per carry average, but they went away from him because they fell behind early. It wasn't so much indicative of them really stopping the run and being stout, because of his yards per carry average. Last game, another thing that stood out to me was, and I this really remember this, is Marcus Peters getting burned all the time by Michael Thomas, but always on third down. He was always getting that 8-yard catch, that 10-yard catch, whatever they needed. Michael Thomas was always getting that on third down. In fact, the Saints were 7 for 12 on third down and then 2 for 2 on fourth down. The Rams, on the other hand, were only 3 for 8 on third down. So I think really a key to this game, where like time of possession usually to me is like a big indicator. I feel like the third down conversions for both teams is going to be massive. And that's really where Talib coming into this game and guarding Michael Thomas, and hopefully I can only imagine Sean Payton trying to scheme Michael Thomas onto Peters or Roby Coleman or even LaMarcus Joyner, whoever, kind of like what the Cowboys did last week. If the Rams can get Talib on Michael Thomas as much as possible, that would be ideal. I mean, he had 211 receiving yards against the Rams, which was a record for him. And the Rams really need to account for him. Also, a key to this game to me is it's not stopping Michael Thomas, but it's just not letting him get every third down conversion, not letting him, burn you over the top like what happened with Marcus Peters. But the other one is Alvin Kamara. In the last matchup, Kamara had over 115 all-purpose yards. He scored 3 touchdowns. And between he and Ingram, you can say stop the running game, but I really feel like it's stopping Kamara. He's so dynamic. They use him all over the place, and if you can just kind of limit him, not stop, but just limit him, then I'm not too afraid of Mark Ingram taking the top off. I mean, he can pound it, he can catch the ball in the backfield too, but he's not going to get those Like him in space is just not as dangerous as Kamara in space. On the other hand, I feel like a big wild card for the Rams is Jared Goff. Jared Goff, last 6 games, has only thrown for over 226 yards one time, and that was against the Eagles. So I know since Gurley's gone out and the emergence of C.J. Anderson, the Rams have obviously shifted their offensive, I guess, identity to more of a ground and pound and run game, which worked out great. And I really feel that's the blueprint that they need to follow. And I have no problem with Jared Goff not throwing for 391 yards and 3 touchdowns like he did in that last game. However, this could be a game where it's going to be an offensive shootout, and you're going to need Jared Goff to be accurate. I just don't want Jared Goff to make the stupid play. The play against Philly where he got his foot stepped on, he kind of dropped the ball, picked it up, and just like shot put it out, and it was an interception. Like, that stuff cannot happen. And as long as Jared Goff can just take care of the ball, not turn it over, throw for 200-ish yards, and let the ground game do its thing, that's going to be key. An interesting stat I saw, the difference between Drew Brees and Jared Goff, they have distinct, I guess, styles, if you will. Drew Brees really likes to get the ball out quick. In fact, he is the 3rd quickest of getting the ball out of his hands at 2.59 seconds. It's the 3rd quickest in football, and he has 117 passer rating on that. However, the Rams are really, really good against the quick passes. They're 4th in football, in all football, in defending that and giving up an 86 passer rating. So that's going to be a contrast in styles to see which one comes out on top. On the other hand, Goff takes the 5th longest time at 2.94 seconds of getting the ball out. So he lets plays develop a little bit longer, and his passer rating is 113 on that. And the Saints are 15th in stopping the long developing plays, and the passer rating is 90. So it's another contrast in style. Now, I mentioned the Saints' run defense before. Obviously, the season's been very good. Their pass defense has not. Their linebackers are not great in coverage. They do have, in my opinion, an elite cornerback in Marcus Lattimore. He had 2 picks last week, done very well in his sophomore season. And watching him against Philly, he just was dialed in. And I think he's going to see a lot of Brandon Cooks action. Last matchup is different because Cooper Kupp was in there, and how they lined up the receivers, the Rams did, was different. But if you just look at it on paper, he will line up on Cooks. Eli Apple will line up on Josh Reynolds, and PJ Williams will line up on Robert Woods. Now, Eli Apple, since they traded him got him in the trade from the Giants, he's played a lot better, but he's still a little hit and miss. You're never going to I don't think Saints fans are ever 100% on Eli Apple, but he has played pretty well. He was like a Granny Smith Apple in New York, and now he's a Golden Delicious. So definitely a better Apple. The one cornerback, though, that I know was driven Saints fans into fits is PJ Williams. That guy has been Jekyll and Hyde. Earlier in the season, he was just getting burned. Then he had a great game. And even last time against the Rams, he was picked on a bit. So if Robert Woods is matched up on PJ Williams, I really look at that matchup in favor of the Rams. I mean, the Saints' passing defense in terms of yards allowed was 28th in all of football. So, it's kind of one of those deals. Goff is struggling. That's the area that makes more sense. But Kupp is out. Now their new dynamic is running the ball. The Rams' offensive line, I think, is going to man up in this game, especially going against a Rankins-less defensive line. And I feel like they are going to dictate this game and keep Goff upright. Last game that they played against each other, no sacks on either side. So I think they're going to keep Goff upright, and I think they're going to part the Red Sea again for Gurley and C.J. Anderson and just drive them both into Demario Davis and see what he can do. Demario Davis is going to have a busy day, and C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley, I think the Rams really found their new formula, and I think it would be foolish to move away from that. And The Saints, I think, know it's coming. Do they have the personnel with Rankins out to really step up and stop it? That's going to be interesting. Now, another thing I noticed I'm watching the Saints play the Philly, and I know it's a longer season, but Brees, great on the short throws, great on the intermediate throws, but he did miss a couple deep balls by throwing them short. One to Ted Ginn, one to Taysom Hill. And I just don't know if he's going to really be taking the top off. I think you're going to see those short and intermediate throws for, some chunk yardage. Taysom Hill, to me, is a real X factor. Sean Payton is like the guru of trickery. We know Sean McVay likes to do it a lot. In fact, this is the game, and I hate to call out referees, but this was the game all season. I think about this play when the Rams went for it on a fake field goal, and Hecker rolled out to the right, got the first down. They reviewed it, said he still didn't get the first down, and that was the momentum changer. It was a tie game. That was coming off a Mark Ingram fumble. That was a tie game. Switched everything. The Saints went and scored, I think, like 3 touchdowns. And really, everything, the momentum changed on that. Same referee crew or same head referee in this game. What the hell, NFL? Not cool. Vinovich, we're looking at you. But Sean Payton is all about trickery. Go back to the Super Bowl, onside kick. Can't trust them. Anytime Taysom Hill's in there, something crazy is going to happen. But most likely Taysom Hill's going to run the ball. Because I saw some graphic they brought up out of 180 so snaps. He's run the ball 130 times, or it's been a running play 130 times or so. So when you see Taysom Hill, something crazy is going to happen. He had a key third down conversion in the first matchup. So that's interesting to see how to do it. He threw for a passing touchdown, but it was called back against Philly. So that's going to be crazy. And when it comes to Sean Payton, to me, he's kind of like the perfect villain for the Rams. He was pulling some crap in the preseason game. The things he said about Marcus Peters in the press conference, which spawned Marcus Peters' comments back to him and the gumbo and all that stuff. He likes to tweak people, and I really feel like he is the guy, like the veteran player who's been there and established and just been the man, and then the newcomer, the rookie comes in, the hot rookie, Sean McVay comes in, and he's kind of like, oh yeah, guess what? I'm still the man. I'm still top dog. And I feel like he has this personal thing. He might like Sean McVay as a person, but I feel like it's personal with him in a way, in tweaking the Rams and getting the best of McVay and saying, hey, I'm still the offensive-minded guy. I'm still the offensive genius. So that's going to be really cool and interesting to see. Great matchup. I really feel like the Rams' offensive line is going to bring it. Their defensive line, one last thing, the Saints' offensive line is banged up. Andres Pete, their left guard, broke his hand in Week 17. He had a week to rest during the bye, but he was not very good against the Eagles. He had 4 penalties called against him. And guess where Aaron Donald's going to line up? Oh, yeah. Andres Pete. Get ready. It's coming. I feel like the Rams will get home and have a sack. Saints' offensive line is really good, but I feel like the Rams can do it. And I like the Rams in this game. It's going to be close. I mean, the Saints are favored. Okay? We cannot forget that. So this isn't... I feel confident. I feel like the momentum and the vibe is with the Rams on this. But the Saints have a lot of weapons. They're coached well. Drew Brees is a legend. He just turned 40. It doesn't matter. Even though his arm is a noodle. And... but losing Rankins, I think, hurts them so much. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to post another video in a couple of days before the game. Don't forget to go find LT at Combat Sports Talk LA, Los Angeles, and subscribe and check out the live stream on Sunday. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do it. Right over here where the car seat is. Bam. Check out some other content up here. And, let me know what you think about this game, what the key points are of this game. Like I said, Saints fans, be cool. Just be cool, all right? Be cool. And thanks for watching, everyone. And like always, go Rams.